Greetings, crafters. It's Julie Creek from Creek Bank Creations. I'm here to share with you today the instructions for the sliding stand-up card. This is a new die from Creek Bank Creations, and I'm happy to share with you all the details of that die today. We'll also be adding this label square stitch die set. It teams up great with the sliding card, so wanted to show you that package as well. These cards are sized to be an A2 card, and they're made so that they ship in an A2 envelope and ship flat, but when the person pulls the ribbon or the tab at the top of the card, there's an obvious design that comes up. You can even add a greeting on the tab that's pulled up, which is a fun element to add to the card too. The great thing about these designs is that they're interactive, which is a great fun thing, and people like to set them up on the mantle and look at them. This one I've embossed, so you can also emboss this, and I'm going to explain to you how to do that as you assemble the card. So these are great cards, don't cost very much to make, and they're fitting in an A2 envelope, so it's a winner. Let's get started and learn about how to make the sliding stand-up card from Creek Bank Creations. You are going to need some supplies. You're obviously going to need that die set, the sliding stand-up card. The label die set that I talked about earlier is optional, but you do need the die. I like to use some liquid glue. We're going to use Undo Adhesive Remover, my Victor ruler, a pick tool from Sizzix, a pencil, some purple stencil tape, or you can use washi tape, and Creek Bank Creations Super Tacky Tape 1/4 inch, a hole punch, and a pair of scissors. Now let's look at the die. This die has 4 pieces that come with it, and when you get started, you're going to find that one with the notch on the top, and that's where we're going to start. We're going to die cut the back. So choose your paper for the back and die cut. I do like a heavyweight paper, 80 or 110 pound, because we were pulling on it. Now if you want to add a stamp sentiment to the inside of the card, now's the time to add that, and we're centering it on the back. Now let's pick up this die. It's rounded at the top and it's our tab piece, and we're going to die cut that piece of paper. Then we're going to turn it over and stamp, and obviously I've already stamped and die cut this piece, so you don't have to wait for me to do it. Now I want to show you a little trick that I do. I keep an extra one of these that I've already die cut with my die, and I've centered where the hole punch goes for the string or ribbon that goes at the top. So I store that with my die set, and then every time I need it, I pull it out, and I've already done the measuring, and I can take my hole punch and punch that hole. So I don't have to mess with trying to figure that out. Now I could also take the tab die. Creek Bank Creations has a little tab die that fits on there really well, and put the tab, but I do prefer the hole punch. Next thing you want to do is take that long metal strip and cut a belly band, and I usually cut it on a lighter weight paper, and we're going to wrap it around the tab piece. So we're going to wrap that around. That die actually has score marks on it, so it shows you where to fold. And we want to fold that around the tab piece. We don't want it tight. We want it tight enough, but we don't want it super tight, because we want that tab to be able to slide in and out of the belly band. So I'm going to put a piece of tape on that edge. I'm going to fold that over, and you want to make sure when you do this that you're folding it square so you have a good square fold, and you want to push that down. And you'll see when I pick this up and move it that the tab slides in and out of the belly band, which is exactly how we want it. Now we're going to set all of that aside, and we need to die cut our front piece. So you need to decide what kind of paper you want for your front. The notch goes at the top. Now this flat large piece is what goes in the center, and you want the 1/2 inch piece at the bottom, and I've marked the outside of my die with a Sharpie marker. Now we need to set this up so we can die cut it. And you can use your ruler and lay it down and measure 5/8 on both sides and 3/4 of an inch at the bottom. But if you go to our website, you can download this template that I made for you, and I'm going to show you how to use this. It's a great little trick. So what you do is download the template, print it off, and then you store it with the die set. When you're ready to use it, you get your die set out and you set your dies directly on top of that template. And remember that arrow at the bottom in the middle piece shows you the proper placement. Now that metal piece in the middle should be 5/8 from the outside edge on each side and 3/4 of an inch at the bottom. So I'm double checking it with my Victor ruler, and I'm going to secure that all in place with some stencil tape. So I want to run this all the way across just to make everything secure, and I'm going to tear that off. If you don't have the stencil tape, this is stencil tape from ThermoWeb. It's purple tape. You can use washi tape. Just use several rolls of it, several rows of it, because you want it secure. So I'm going to push that all down and make sure everything's taped in place. And then I want to turn that paper over. And I'm going to take my adhesive remover, and where that tape has come in contact with the paper, I'm going to get the paper wet with undo, and you'll see I'm going to be able to lift that paper right off. And now my die is placed exactly where I need it, and I can set that on top of my paper, and I'm ready to die cut. So I've taken it out of the die cut machine. I'm going to pull that outer edge off, and I don't want to tear that card, so I'm going to put the undo on the back where I know the tape is, and that's going to allow me to lift that right off the tape, and I have just die cut the front panel of my card. Now there are fold marks on that set. I'm going to fold that up. The first one goes up, the second one comes down, and the third one goes up. So what you're going to have is that nice big V piece that stands up, and then you're going to have that small 1/2 inch little tab at the bottom. And we've trained our paper on how to do those folds. Make sure you have them nice and square. And that's what I'm doing there, is just cleaning up that fold and making sure I have a nice square fold. Now is the time. If you have an embossing folder, you want to grab an embossing folder and open up your embossing folder and put that piece in the embossing folder and run it through your die cut machine. And you're going to end up with a very nice embossed front. Now we want to fold up that 1/2 inch tab, and we're using Creekbank Creation Super Tacky Tape. We're going to place it all along the edge of that 1/2 inch tab. Press it down and make sure you have it good and secure. Flip the whole front piece over so that you have the notch there, and go get your belly band that you made earlier and lay that belly band down, and you'll see how I have the two notches facing each other there. We're going to put a piece of Creekbank Creation Super Tacky Tape on the right and left of the notch, and we're going to pick off the relief liner, and then we will adhere the belly band to the top edge of the card. So using that Sizzix die ejection tool, actually is what that tool is called, to pull off the tape liner. And now I'm centering it on that top edge of the front panel. And I want to pull this up close so you can see. I've centered it from left to right so that it's centered, and I've centered it in the middle there, top to bottom. Now what I want to show you is the notch from the belly band should match the notch on your card, so that it doesn't have anything showing and it's clean. So that's how you add that. Now we need to attach the tab to the card front. So I have put a piece of red paper down in the background because I wanted to be able to see this clearly. We want that to sit right on that edge. So we're going to treat the tab with a little bit of undo. I'm going to pull off that tape liner from the bottom edge of the front of the card, and I'm going to adhere that bottom edge to the bottom edge of the tab. Now the reason we got it wet with undo is that undo suspends adhesion on tape. So as long as that's wet, it gives me time to manipulate that piece around and make sure it's directly on the edge and it's centered exactly side to side. And right here I'm manipulating that, making sure I get it exactly where I want it, and then I'm going to let it dry. Once dry, we are going to assemble. We're going to adhere the top of the card to the back. First thing we want to do is grab that tab and slide it into that belly band that we made. That helps the tab to pull up and open straight. Now I like to use liquid glue to finish off the card. I'm going to put a line of glue all around the sides and the bottom edge of the card. You don't want it gooping and getting all over the place, but you do want enough glue to hold everything down. Turn it over and place it on top of your card back and make sure everything is secure. Now, the benefit of using the liquid glue here is that it really does add stability to the card, and that's why I'm using liquid glue and not tape. So liquid glue, we've let it dry, and now you can see we have a tab that we can pull out the top. We can add a ribbon to that hole. And let's get a finished card to look at here. Here's our finished card. Now here's what you need to note. We have that label piece on the front that I talked about earlier, and that's from our label square stitch dies, and we're using the second piece there out of the set, and we're die cutting, and it fits that label's designed to fit the card front perfectly, and then you put your adhesive on it and you adhere it to that front panel. Now you can decorate the card like you want. As you can see, there are many different ways to use these cards, to decorate these cards. If you look closely at the cream card and the blue card, you'll notice that I have embossed those cards. These are beautiful cards. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Thanks for joining us today.